2025 is coming in hardcore, and if you don't know, by the end of this video, I think you will, so grab yourself a drink.
And if there was ever a time to come together, that time is now.
I don't really care what you call me, Turning Point. I'm just happy that we won and we beat the Democrats. But we're on the precipice of something amazing. The opportunity is in front of us all to unleash the great next era of our country.
When people think about the most powerful black man in America today, most people immediately think of Barack Obama. But in reality, though he's simply an ex-president who's still very influential to many people, but his power and voice seem to be limited as well, as we saw that his campaigning for Kamala Harris was an utter failure and fell upon deaf ears in the black community. People just didn't seem to buy what he was selling. Behind the scene, he still has some pull in the deep state bureaucrats for sure, but as far as having open available power inside the administration of moving the governmental laws and legislations into the future, not so much. So who will be the most powerful black man in the world starting January 20th, 2025? This man right here. Byron Donalds wields the power to do whatever he deems necessary done for the United States in moving it towards the future.
What we're going into right now is with now President Trump going to be inaugurated, frankly, in about a little over a week and a half, is you're going to see something in Washington you probably haven't seen much before. You have a chief executive who clearly knows what needs to occur in that job. And also you have a Congress, both House and Senate, that is committed to that agenda. So I anticipate we're going to move very, very fast. We're going to be working with President Trump and his White House team here in the House, as well as the Senate, in order to get that accomplished.
We looked into the most influential black people in America in 2024, and here's what they have listed on Roots. Number 10, Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader of the House. Number 9, Alicia Keys, entertainer. Number 8, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Supreme Court judge. Number 7, Alvin Bragg, the district attorney in New York. Number 6, actor Coleman Domingo. Number 5, University of South Carolina basketball coach Dawn Staley. Number 4, Beyonce. Number 3, rapper and songwriter Kendrick Lamar. Number 2, gymnast Simone Biles. And number 1 at the top of the list is right now Kamala Harris. Really surprised myself there in that list that LeBron James didn't make the top 10.
Here's Christie to the cutting James. Oh!
But let's remember now, we're talking about the most powerful black person in America, meaning who controls more of the laws that can be written and who holds the key to the future of America as we know it. So we can take away the athletes and entertainers. Number 9, Alicia Keys. Number 6, Coleman Domingo. Number 5, Dawn Staley. Number 4, Beyonce. Number 3, Kendrick Lamar. And number 2, Simone Biles. Though they're all very talented in their field, they have no power to control what happens to the prices of apples, gas, electricity, human rights issues, war overseas, taxation, or any sort of laws that are made that each American has to abide by and or feel the pain or pleasure from of these policies being enacted into law, into your homes right now. Like this man, Byron Donalds, right now is actually doing in America.
Tax policy overall, most of it is actually going to be reauthorizing the Trump tax cuts, which, by the way, is the best tax policy our nation's ever had. We already know what it is, so putting that into this vehicle is not going to be overly complex. Now, if you want to talk about the additives to that, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, yes, you have to write that language. I actually wrote the language with Senator Ted Cruz for no tax on tips. We wrote it late in the last Congress. That's policy that we already have drafted. You'll have to ruminate it with colleagues, get that piece through.
Now we have Hakeem Jeffries at number 10. Minority leader in Congress, has pull, but again, he's minority leader. So that brings his power to a very limited base, and he's merely a voice and a face of the Democratic Party in the House for the time being. And Byron Donalds already says that Hakeem Jeffries, yeah, if he wants to play with us, we'll play with him. He's great to have, but he doesn't need Jeffries' help.
Major agendas in front of us. And actually, I was glad to hear from Leader Jeffries saying that the Democrats were committed to wanting to secure our border once and for all. If they're serious about that, they will have willing partners with Republicans. But if it's just talking points for speeches and they're not serious, we will get the job done without the Democrat Party.
Number 8, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Supreme Court judge, a very powerful position, however, being outnumbered by the Republican Supreme Court judges 6-3. So her votes and judgments, again, super limited. and she could be overruled in any given day. Number 7, Alvin Bragg, District Attorney of New York. Though a very powerful position to hold, it only matters to those of you who are in trouble in New York. Bringing us to the most powerful black person in America, Kamala Harris. And if she would have won the presidency, that would hold true in 2025. But as of now, her power is almost vanquished. And only time will tell if she will ever again have a chance to literally affect the outcome of America's future. So here we are, 2025, and there is one black man who's not on that list. I don't understand why. He has been given the authority and the power to change the future of America, and his influence is more than enough to get enough people in the House and the Congress, in the Senate, to pass legislation, laws, reduce or increase taxes, assign hearings on any issue to change laws in the United States of America. He has the power to write bills, and he's doing it. To lower the cost of housing, and he's doing it. And gasoline, he has the power to say no more tax on tips, and he's doing it. No more tax on Americans over 65 having Social Security, and he's doing it. No more people crossing the border illegally, and this man is right now doing it. He is literally the leading force behind this, all getting done in America today.
Criminal illegal aliens, they have to be deported immediately, and that's going to be the primary focus. The other part is turning off the spigots created by the previous administration, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, of opening our southern border. And if you look at polling, deportations are supported by the majority of Americans because we have seen what's happened in our urban areas. So we're going to do that job of making the country secure once again. My message for the Hispanic community, and frankly any community, is be focused on what's actually going on, not words, not slogans, about the details. The details matter, the execution matters, the outcomes matter, and it's without question that when Donald Trump was president, our country was in a better place, everybody was making more money, everybody was safer. We need him back. That's my message. Man, if you don't agree with the left, you're an extremist. All that means is that they're the real extremists.
The crisis at the border right now, President Biden, do you think he can do it without the help of Congress?
Yeah, he can, because he broke it in the first place.
And why is he not doing it?
Because he doesn't want to, because the Democrats have always wanted. Oh, we're here? Oh. The Democrats have always wanted open borders. This is the policy they've always wanted. They now have it, and the American people hate it. That's why it's hard for them to reverse course.
We have 7.3 million people who come into this country illegally. 7.3 million, and Joe Biden wants to make it an even 10 million. That's insane. No country would ever tolerate this. And so my position to my colleagues on Capitol Hill is clear. You either secure the border or you get no money for the government.
I don't want to talk about Kamala. I don't want to talk about her. I'm done with her. This is about us. This is about America. We need a leader whose foreign policy is us getting out of wars, not into them. We need a leader who's going to secure the southern border and tell illegal immigrants it is time for them to go home. We need a leader who's going to build a strong economy again, so whether you're a senior on fixed income or a young person trying to get ahead and buy a home, you can have an economy that will work for you. And this is my own personal, and it's frankly, I know I'm in North Carolina, so I know this is yours too. We need a leader who's going to protect children and end this radical transgender ideology. We're going to protect kids in America. And we're going to get men out of women's sports in America.
He can write new human rights laws or revoke old ones, and he is in the majority party, and that matters. He is a personal friend of Donald Trump, has his phone number, can call him anytime, and I'm sure those two are going to be talking a lot. He could have been the next Speaker of the House if he really wanted to create a stir, but instead, he chose to first put America first and take the agenda and move it forward as fast as possible.
$61 billion to Ukraine after Mike Johnson promised to secure the border first. That's a problem. So we need to have a plan before January 3rd. The speaker needs to speak to it if he wants to have all of our support. And people say, well, Chip, who would you choose otherwise? There are a lot of great members of Congress. Mike's a friend, and maybe he can answer the call and he can deliver an agenda and a plan. Byron Donalds is a good man and a good friend. I supported him. I nominated him 2 years ago.
Self. Donalds.
Congressman, you've been one of the leading voices in Florida. Florida now a red kingdom. You win by a gajillion points every single election. You're massively popular here in this state. You won't find a more popular issue than voter ID.
Yeah.
You won't find it. The polling is clear. This is from Gallup. This is the single most popular issue that Congress could pass right now. Probably more like 90% on your side. National voter ID. We can expect it, and it's wonderful to hear. It's music to our ears.
No, I agree. You're definitely going to expect it. It's something that we should definitely get done. Call on Speaker Johnson to make sure that hits the floor as soon as possible.
You become Speaker, will you release all of the January 6th footage?
I will, absolutely.
Okay, great.
It was a power move when he actually stood down and went ahead and endorsed Mike Johnson as Speaker of the House, even though many Republicans wanted him to throw his hat in the ring.
Today, I'm rising to nominate Byron Donalds for Speaker of the House of Representatives.
For what purpose does the gentleman from North Carolina rise?
Madam Clerk, I rise to place in nomination the name of Byron Donalds of Florida.
It is time that we reassert ourselves and put America back on the road to recovery. And the person who I think is most capable and will do the most credible job to lead us back that way is my friend from Florida, the Honorable Byron Donalds, whom I am pleased and proud to nominate as the next Speaker of the House of Representatives.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Florida rise?
Madam Speaker, I would like to rise to nominate Byron Donalds for Speaker of the House.
The Honorable Byron Donalds of the state of Florida has received 20.
He was one of the favorites to win the vice presidential candidate running mate for Donald Trump, and Trump had him on top of the list with J.D. Vance. And still, it stymies a lot of Americans. Why did Trump choose Vance over Donalds? But even the vice president is limited in his actual actions.
Are you getting prepared to make a jump? And Donald Trump saying he's already picked his VP this weekend. Want to get your thoughts on that?
Well, whatever the president does, I'm behind 100%. That's always been my position. I'll tell you, Benny, just even being talked about on that list is a tremendous honor. I was talking to my wife about that, just last night, just how surreal it is. And it's a tremendous honor if that's what he decides to do. And the only other thing I'll say about it is, look, I know I could do a better job than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Like I said earlier, they suck.
I think that probably at least 79% of the audience right now is praying for a debate between you and Kamala Harris.
Oh, we would have a good time. It's crazy. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So Byron Donalds right now is a loose cannon, free to move around, and he will be all over the halls of the Senate, trust me, and Congress, and even in the Senate, enforcing his will for the future of this country. There's a lot of debates right now going on as to whether Governor DeSantis will call Byron Donalds to fill the empty seat of the Senate of Marco Rubio in Florida. But would Byron Donalds even accept it once again? Or would Donalds rather be the next governor of Florida and replace DeSantis? He can do whatever he wants to do.
Well, let me ask you, because I remember when your name came up as a potential Speaker of the House. There were many who speculated that based on the prominent role you played in this campaign and election, that your name would have skyrocketed to at least the front of the line. We are several cabinet picks in. Are you not surprised that you have not been named? Have you had a conversation about being a part of the administration at all?
All I will say is I am not surprised that I have not been named, but that does not mean I'm not going to do other things in the future.
Has he asked you?
No, there's some other things that I'm looking at going forward.
Like?
I'm not going to talk about them now.
We do this every time.
We're not going to break news now.
I would like to ask you, Governor
We're not going to break
of
news.
Florida, Senator, perhaps if Marco Rubio is confirmed, or any of those spots enticing to you?
We'll see what happens as things go forward.
Byron Donalds' presence in front of the media, one who's able to answer any question on the drop of a dime, made him like the best candidate in the world to be the press secretary for Donald Trump. But then again, why limit yourself, Byron Donalds, right? If he took that role, he would have been downplaying his abilities that he has to actually bring this country into the future. Being where he is right now as a mere congressman with all this power makes me wonder if the only job for him next is president of the United States after Donald Trump serves his terms. We've been watching this closely, and we all know that there's something else. There's something else there, and there's a reason why Byron Donalds isn't in the Speaker of the House position. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, clearly not the name that the majority of the Americans wanted to see or hear. But Mike Johnson has held on to the position with the votes needed by Congress to move into 2025. How he fares in that position right now, only time's going to tell. Republicans won 220 House seats in the November elections, while Democrats won 215. It's the most narrowly divided House majority since the outset of the Great Depression, and that was almost a century ago. And that margin is set to quickly shrink even further. When the House convened Friday, the partisan breakdown stood at 219 to 215 since the former Representative GOP Matt Gaetz of Florida opted not to return to Congress. From there, the majority is on track to soon drop to 217 to 215, with 2 GOP lawmakers expected to join the Trump administration. At that point, House Republicans would not be able to afford a single defection to pass legislation along party lines until those vacancies are filled. So any Speaker of the House in this position right now clearly has their work cut out for him. Maybe Byron Donalds dodged a bullet. Again, only time will tell. But Byron Donalds remaining in the House where he is right now is a voice that most Republicans are going to hear and go with. Even Speaker Johnson will have to make sure that Byron Donalds is on board with their agenda. But also, and no less important, is Johnson will have to be on board with Byron Donalds' agenda as well. And they both seem to be right now on board with Donald Trump's agenda. So Byron Donalds is, without even question right now, the most powerful black man in America. And Byron Donalds has never played the race card to get where he is. He's not with the DEI and never will act like a victim in a corrupt system.
Donald Trump's cabinet is about people who are going to implement his agenda. And he's not done, by the way. You have Susie Wiles, the first woman ever to serve as chief of staff. You have Marco Rubio, a Cuban American who's going to serve as Secretary of State, representing America across the globe when it comes to foreign policy. You have Tulsi Gabbard going to be at DNI. So many others that are coming, and there's still slots to be filled. So I think everybody needs to pump the brakes and just wait and see what happens.
Do you think Democrats are putting form over substance?
Absolutely. Look, even if you look at how the Democrats filled the Joe Biden cabinet, they wanted to have a piece of every identity, but did they get the job done? Did they actually serve the interest of the American people? Because here's what I know. Whether you black or Hispanic, if the border is unsecure, Alejandro Mayorkas, if the border is unsecure, does that help people in their everyday lives? No, it does not. And so what Donald Trump's election is about is bringing competency and reality back to D.C. in the White House, making sure that the job gets done on behalf of the American people, regardless of their race, regardless of their religion, regardless of their creed.
Byron Donalds got into this position because of his hard work, his drive, his determination, his ethics, his never quitting, his unquestionable and diehard patriotism for this country, and I'm sure his wittiness. And when you're smarter and can outwit 99.9% of the politicians in Washington right now, that helps. It's been his face and his voice and his mind that has brought insight to millions of black Americans, and he's going to be bringing millions more into the future of the party when he, I don't know, maybe takes control of the country in 2029, maybe is the 45th president of the United States of America. So yes, I do think, however, that he is indeed the most powerful black man in the United States of America, but that's just what I think. Tell me what you think in the comments below, and please like, subscribe, and click that notification button so that when we get information out, you can get information in. Join the One Love family. God is good, Jesus is Lord, and I pray that you have a blessed rest of your day. As the world turns, we will see you on the next one. Cheers for now.